Hello, I'm Professor Bustillo-Booth. Welcome to this video tutorial, where I will walk you through Stage 3 of the Secret Shopper Project for Business 101, Introduction to Business. Please keep in mind that there may be several instructors teaching Business 101 at the college, and that their instructions may vary slightly from the ones that I will go over here. It will be your responsibility to follow their particular instructions. If you don't already have a pen and paper in hand, please be sure to have those handy so that you can take notes along the way. Let's go ahead and get started. In this session, I will quickly go over the project purpose and outcomes. I will show you where we are at the multi-stage project development and show you how to find the Secret Shopper Stage 3 materials in Canvas, review the role of peer reviews, and then end with success tips that are specific to the last stage. By now, you will have watched several video tutorials that discuss the project purpose and outcomes of this project. I will go ahead and present them here in a synthesized manner so they can be more meaningful, given that you have gone through at least 2 of the stages and performed the observation. By the end of this project, you will appreciate the role of customer service in the operations of a business. You will have applied management principles in managing quality and competitiveness. You will also recognize the importance of human resources in business operations and recognize the role of marketing principles in communicating, capturing, and creating value for customers. The first of the multi-phase project is Stage 1, where you identified a company to observe and conducted a preliminary industry analysis. By the middle of the course, you will have developed performance standards and observe a business based on those standards. It ends with Stage 3, where we bring everything together, including the industry analysis, and using the performance standards and observations for developing your findings and creating your recommendations. I will now spend the remaining part of the tutorial to help you complete Stage 3. Before we dive into the Stage 3 document, I want to go over the 2 major functions of the work that you will be doing in Stage 3. The first is to give you an opportunity to refine your performance standards and observation notes against the feedback from your peer and instructor. You will need to refine or correct given those feedback so that you can then copy that scorecard and your observation notes onto Stage 3 template and be ready to go. The second function is writing the report itself to bring together the industry analysis, findings, and recommendations. And you will use Stages 1 and 2 as foundations for that findings and why it is so important to correct errors you might have had during Stage 2 and Stage 1. You will then make practical recommendations based on the findings from Stage 2, and then you will present a professionally crafted report using the template. To find the assignment, you'll want to go to Canvas modules or grades or the Canvas to-do list. You will then download 2 documents that are listed in the instructions. The first is the SS3 instructions, which is in PDF. You will not submit this document when you are done. However, you will need it to complete Stage 3. You will also download the SS3 template, which is in Word. This is the document you will submit by the deadline. The instructions document will look a lot like the actual template you will use to complete Stage 3. You will not be able to make modifications in this document because it is a PDF and it will serve for instructional purposes only. It will have examples of what is expected in the document. Let me go ahead and walk you through some of those. What you see here should be familiar. That is the scorecard, and it has the areas where you can collect your notes. The purpose of this part of Stage 3 is to give you an opportunity to make corrections and modifications given instructor feedback from Stage 2. You may also respond to peer feedback, but that will be your judgment call. You can see here, for example, for Standard 1, the parking lot is clean and free of debris. There's a Likert score of 2 and a corresponding note that explains why and how the business performed against the standard. So in this case, there were shopping carts in the parking stalls, making it difficult to park. The second part of the customer service journey around employee behaviors. This example has associates greet customers within 5 minutes. The business performed a 3 against the standard, and the notes explains that and says 1 of 3 employees greeted me within 5 minutes. 2 were, however, preoccupied with personal conversation. And there's a third example, and you can read that when you open the document. For whatever reason, if you missed stage 2 or you were not able to complete it, this is also an opportunity for you to pick up where you left off so you can proceed with stage 3. The remaining part of this document will be the industry analysis and the findings and recommendations. Let me go back to the industry analysis. What you will need here is your completed stage 1. And again, you'll have an opportunity to make refinements and conduct more analysis should you need to, so you can complete this part of stage 3. So the first part, section A, should be fairly straightforward. Let me talk about the industry intelligence. Again, you will need stage 1 to conduct this part. For example, you'll put in the industry information. This document says, project 1A, that's the same as stage A. And industry trends, and this would have been your internet search about the kinds of market insights or trends for your particular kind of business. And so pay particular attention to make sure that is relevant, because not all restaurants, for example, are made the same or paying attention to the same kind of market trends. So natural oriented restaurants will have very different market trends than a fast food restaurant. Let me just give your attention to customer insight, and you are to come up with insights that are a result of the internet search or of your observation. And if you are stuck here, go to Yelp or any of customer review sites or business review sites and see if you can pick up some insights about the customers and what they're looking for. In terms of the analytical purpose, you may just go ahead and copy and paste this into your document, because every single student will have had the same purpose and scope for their secret shopper activity. You can certainly make an argument that yours was different, and then you go ahead and write what you need to there, but this is your default position. Methodology or the way you conducted your secret shopper will also be very much the same across the board, and so you can just copy and paste this and make modifications to correct those parts that line up with your business. For example, address of your business, the date that you observe, and the time, and so on. Now, if you did stage 1 and stage 2, particularly stage 2, correctly, findings will be a breeze. Let me just note a few things in here, and I won't read every single word on this document because you will have it in front of you. The standards will correspond to the standards that are in your scorecard, so 1 through 25, and you will refer to them here accordingly, 1 through 25, so they should all line up. So when you're talking about standard 1 here, parking lot was poorly managed, it is also the same standard that is referred to as standard 1 up here. And so how you will do this is you will put things together. For example, in the case of standard 1, where a student wrote, the parking lot is clean and free of debris, the business scored a 2 and had noticed there were shopping carts in parking stalls making it difficult to park, you will basically tie that all in together into one succinct statement or 2 succinct statements. The parking lot was poorly managed, and now you can put that in a past tense because you're now doing a finding, and a finding is in the past tense, and that the business performed 2 out of 5 on a Likert scale, and that will be important for you to write so that when a business owner or a manager looks into this, it understands what the scale was. And that then you write your notes. It had several shopping carts in stalls, making it difficult to find parking, especially during busy hours. You can see here that this is basically the notes with a little bit more expansion to give the notes context. Let's take a look at standard 6. So in this case, standard 6 is associates greet customers within 5 minutes. The business performed a 3 against a Likert scale. And here are some notes. 1 of 4 employees greeted me within 5 minutes, and 2 were preoccupied with personal conversation. This is tied together again here, as you can see, Employee greeting was acceptable, 3 of 5 Likert scale, with 1 of 4 available employees greeting me within 5 minutes. Of note, 2 of the employees near me were preoccupied with personal conversation. A couple things to keep in mind here is that you can say Likert or Likert scale. It's up to you as long as the word Likert is there and the scale is present. And that you can expand a little bit because you may remember a little bit more, or allows for a good flow of the writing. So that's okay to do. The document will expand to allow for that statement. Just be sure to be as succinct as possible, because what we don't want is an entire narrative. You just want to be able to say very clearly and succinctly how the business performed against the standard, the score it reserved, and the reason why they got that score. I'll just give you one more example. Here, standard 11, there's adequate amount of stock of regular items. The business received a 5, and there's a note, various sizes and colors of what I needed were represented. And again, you can see how this was brought together succinctly. Stock availability was very good, 5 of 5 Likert scale, and the various sizes and colors were well represented. And you will do this and repeat this process for each and every single line. Let me now go through section D, which is recommendations, and start with our example here, standard 1. What we're looking for are practical, doable recommendations that would be appropriate for the business. So, for example, a parking lot that has many stalls during busy hours can be solved by assigning a staff member to check the parking lot regularly, every 30 minutes or every couple hours, whatever you believe is a reasonable amount of time, to ensure that it is free of carts and debris and people can park there. Fairly reasonable, right? And again, you want to be short about it and very clear. In the example of the employee greeting was acceptable, you could say establish a norm to greet customers within 3 minutes of entry. Maybe they don't have that. We don't know. At least one employee should be dedicated as greeter at the door. That's a reasonable expectation if the business can actually allow for that. If it's a one-person business, a greeter at the door is not a reasonable expectation, because that person is probably attending to everything in the business. So you'll have to make a good judgment call about what is practical and appropriate for the business. Let me just give you one more example. In the case of standard 11, where we talked about stock availability, and the business performed well on that day. And you might find that when you visit your business, you'll get a lot of 5s, and you're like, what the heck am I going to do? What kind of recommendations can I give? No recommendations are needed. Well, that is not necessarily true. You may have observed this business during one of their better days. But unless you observe the business regularly, day in and day out, over several weeks, you are not going to know whether or not that is consistently being performed, or they're consistently meeting that standard. And so what you want to do is assume the position of not knowing and not assuming. So how you would then phrase a recommendation, because you are expected to come up with a recommendation, a tangible one for each line, is to begin with something like, if not yet established. That way you don't insult the business, or you don't assume they don't have something in place. If not yet established, conduct a regular inventory of goods and bestsellers to understand what needs to be stocked on a regular basis. That's reasonable, and it is also practical, operational norm for a business. Assume that all the recommendations that you would put here would have to be true no matter how the business performed. And you may have several ideas, but you just need to pick one that is practical and doable. Again, you consult Yelp or other business review sites. Customers have all kinds of ideas about how to improve a business, and those are legitimate to use as references as you craft your own. After you will have completed your findings and recommendations, be sure to review your document for language use errors like spelling, grammar, capitalization, and the like. It will be expected that you will have done that so that you can earn full points for stage 3 and frankly for all of the stages for this project. This brings us to the end. Like other stages, you may be asked to conduct anonymous peer reviews using a rubric provided by your instructor. Please offer constructive, positive, and supportive feedback like the kinds you'd like to receive from others. Now, for a remaining success tip, I'll offer you one that is fairly simple but can be overlooked because we are so busy, and that is to respond to your instructor's feedback. And if the feedback is not clear, please do reach out because we want to help you succeed. Now, I hope that these tutorials have been helpful to you. And again, if you need further guidance, do reach out. We are here to help you. Thanks again for all of your efforts and good luck.